Welcome to this episode of Encore. We're going to talk about a very interesting subject. You are free to fail. Free to fail. Who wants to fail? Nobody. Nobody wants to fail. You don't want to be a failure. But I have to tell you, I have failed so much. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Oh my gosh. I feel like sometimes my life has been a declaration of just not even second best, like third, fourth, fifth best. One time I was in high school and I was playing the trumpet. That's what I played in school. And I had the big solo and the entire student body came in to the band room. Maybe not the entire student body, but a select group of people were coming in for a performance, special performance by the band. And I had this incredible solo. And I completely folded under pressure. It was an ultimate meltdown. There wasn't one clean note that came out of this entire solo. My band director looked at me, who usually terrified me anyways, and he just was staring at me like, what the crud is going on? Like, what's happening? And I'm thinking to myself, I suck. That's what's happening. I'm just being Chris. It's what I do. I still remember that to this day. I wish I could tell you there was an amazing happy ending. All of a sudden I found myself and I went into a Yoda moment where I just basically played perfectly. Oh no, the entire thing was a catastrophe. Free to fail. I wish somebody would have told me when I was younger that you're going to fail a lot and it's okay. Here's what you're going to do when you fail. I want you to look at what happened and realize that does not have to define the entirety of who you are. Learn from it, grow from it. When I got older, I remember I felt like God was putting this call in my heart to start a band. You probably have heard of it. It's called Boys to Men. And I was working at a job. And honestly, in the job, I was not focused. And I was not giving my all. I was half-hearted. I was more focused on how do I make this band happen. And I remember I got a call from this company I was working for, and I knew they were going to fire me. And so I decided I was going to preempt it by basically firing myself. And I, in essence, probably quit at the same time I was being invited to leave. At that moment, something cool happened. I realized that the typical 9-to-5 job was not going to work for me. And I also realized that I had to move in my passion and not that which was just an obligation. And so what happened was I began to focus all of my effort on my passion, which was I feel called to do this ministry full time. And you guys, I called 1 million phone numbers to try to get us gigs. In fact, there was not the word no at all in my vocabulary when it came to possibilities. We used to take, in the old days when we had actual phone books, we used to take out the pages of the churches, which is tragic now that I think about it. Somebody's looking for a church, they can't find it because some kid in a band took all the pages out, and I called all of those numbers. You name it, didn't matter the denomination. I talked to pastors, youth leaders, whoever, secretaries, just to try to see if I could figure out a way to get an in to play our band to play there. And you know what? 1 million failures. 1 million times they said no. And 1,000,001 times I still went after it. We played in adult senior living facilities. We used to call them old folks homes. We played at Home Depot, Books A Million. We played in churches, every denomination you could possibly think of. And guess what happened? We made a living. It was a miracle. In fact, that work ethic was so cool because I remember later on meeting and talking to bands that had been signed and they were not full-time. They had to go back home and work regular jobs. But I and our band, we were so committed and we were so all in. And it didn't matter how many times somebody said no to us. We went after it and we made it our livelihood. It was unbelievable. That kind of perspective of being all in and not letting no hold me back has been exactly what I've done throughout the entirety of my ministry. And I bring that up for you because of this. It's so unrealistic to think that you will go through your entire life and everything will fall into place exactly the way that you thought it was going to. There are some people like that, and they have planned their life out perfectly, and they've got a vision board, and they've got it all organized, and they're super ready to go, and it all happens that way. But that percentage has got to be so minuscule, it's unbelievable. Most people have changed their mind 1,000 times and have tried to figure out what it is that's worked. And sometimes they've gone off and done certain things and have failed miserably. But it's that failing and it's that learning what isn't entirely you that is so important so that you can be entirely you. For those of you out there who are going through a great struggle and you've fallen flat on your face, good. Get back up and realize, okay, that path is not good. Let's try this one instead. I think of people I've known in business. I remember once I was sitting with a group of businessmen in South Dakota, and most of those guys and women who were business leaders had gone through bankruptcy at one point or another in their career. Because why? Well, because they knew that in order to be successful, they had to take some chances. And sometimes the chances, it was incredible. It was a well thought out chance, and they succeeded. But sometimes they took that path and they fell flat on their face, but they got back up and they did it again. I remember there was another guy that we met when we were younger. He became a millionaire when he was like 17, 18, just by mowing lawns. His story was so motivating. He said, I didn't have any money. I didn't have a lawnmower, but I went to a lady and I asked if I could borrow her lawnmower and mow her lawn. I did that. I raised a couple bucks. I earned enough money to buy a lawnmower. I did that a few more times. I bought another lawnmower. I did that a few more times. I bought a whole bunch of lawnmowers, and then I started employing other people. So we had a huge lawn business, and then I became a millionaire. And then he said, then I lost the millions of dollars that I made through some poor investing. And then I reinvented myself in another company. And I listened to that story and I thought, this guy has got it figured out. Failure wasn't the thing that he was afraid of. I think ultimately the only thing that he was afraid of was not trying, because not moving, not trying, that'll get you nowhere. Exactly. I don't know what's going on in your life right now, but I want you to know that God sees right where you are, and he has an incredible possibility and opportunity that's awaiting for you. If you hold back and think, well, I can't, I've tried before, I've fallen short, I've failed, don't worry. God's bigger than your failure. He's bigger than the circumstances. He's bigger than your insecurity. If you can begin to trust that God wants to do something in you, then you can look at a failure and say, okay, that was tough, that hurt, that was hard, but I'm going to learn from it. Let's go. So, I want to hear about it, right? I want to hear about the amazing things that happen in your life. Don't hold back. Share with me sometime that moving forward, what you learned from your failure. Because honestly, that's something we all have in common. Thanks for being a part of this experience. I love doing these. I hope you love them too. Tell a friend. See if they can sign up and join us. I hope you enjoyed this Encore performance by yours truly.